All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, we are back again on the other side of the coin. Another day, another Chelsea transfer news shenanigans. I mean, it's just non-stop. Every day there's something. I can just imagine journalists. They must just love their job. They just keep recycling everything, and as the week finishes, the Monday comes again, and we go again. Let's just churn and burn again. So no, it's good. It's good. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the Euros are happening, but we all know transfer times are brings about great discussions. Whether it happens or not, that's a different story. But brings about good discussions. Today, we're actually going to talk about few of the outgoings and one contract extension, which will create good discussion. But before we do all of that, quite a lot of people that have joined in already. Please smash the like button. I can't stress enough how much that helps the channel out and how much that helps the video. So please smash the like button. And while you're at it as well, check out the boys and their socials in the description, both of them, their Twitter handles. Go and follow them. And also Amir's YouTube channel. The link is there. So subscribe. First of all, Ishan, my man, how you doing?
Thank you for having me again. It's good to be here on the other side of the coin, and let's get the stream going.
Brilliant. Amir, my boy, how you doing?
Yeah, today's Sunday, and then my parents were actually asking, you don't have the it's 4 o'clock for me, so you don't have the 4 o'clock stream today, and I'm like, no, unfortunately we don't, but we've got one now, so it's compensated. So let's see how this one goes. I mean, seems like a pretty interesting topic, doesn't it? Transfers, it's always interesting.
Absolutely. So the live chat, if you're wondering that, where is Kishan? Well, I've substituted with Ishan. But look, Kishan and Amir and myself, we generally do on a Sunday around 11:30 a.m. UK, where we do the Chelsea news. But Kishan's actually away for the weekend, so we thought we'd just do a transfer news again. And I've got the bad boy Ishan here to help us out with that. So let's get straight into this live chat. Get your comments in as well, as I want to interact with you guys as much as possible for this particular discussion. Let's talk about Tammy Abraham first up. Amir, I'll go to you. Tammy Abraham, seems like there's a £40 million offer, apparently, so-called rumour at the moment from Aston Villa. I mean, for me, we'll talk about the price, but let's talk about the situation first. Aston Villa is doing a bit of madness. They've gone out there, got themselves Buendia. They're absolutely hounding Arsenal for Emile Smith-Rowe. Like, they're treating Arsenal like a nobody, to be honest, like a bottom tier table where they can just bottom tier team where they can just snatch up their players, talented players. And they themselves, Buendia, they stole that from Arsenal, and they've been linked with the £100 million move with Grealish to Man City as well. I mean, I don't know how much of that is real because nothing has been. Well, Fabrizio Romano has actually said yes, there's interest from Man City, but there's actually no bid on it at the moment. But it seems like Aston Villa is moving mad. Clearly, it kind of feels like they are going to get some sort of money from a sale, and that's why they're dishing out all this money everywhere. Talk to me about, one, ambition of Aston Villa, and then two, the fact that Tammy Abraham, supposed bid for Tammy Abraham, it kind of makes sense to me because Tammy's played all right in Aston Villa before.
Yeah, I think with Aston Villa, they have really ambitious owners, right? We know for a fact that they're a big club. I mean, they've won the Champions League. They have more Champions League titles than Arsenal. So I wouldn't be surprised with the way they treat Arsenal, if I'm being honest. But
True.
But Grealish is their prized asset, isn't he? And honestly, this interest from City, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, who wouldn't be interested in selling Jack Grealish, man? He was one of the best players in the Premier League. I mean,
if you're not interested, then there's something wrong with you.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. There's something wrong with you if you're not interested in signing Jack Grealish for your club. So I think, in all honesty, Jack Grealish, fantastic player, but I don't think the Aston Villa owners are shy of investment, right? Which is why I don't think the sale bit is quite possibly true, because I think they spent 100 million last season and the season before that as well throughout the entirety of the season. So they do have some ambitious owners who want to take back Aston Villa to the glories of the past. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't bet against that, especially in the next couple of years, because you've seen the steady improvement from them, haven't we? The first season barely managed to stay up. Last season did a brilliant job finishing mid-table, and they were in the mix for the Europa League or the Conference League as well until the later stages when they fell off a bit. So next season, I mean, they could be challenging for a Europa League spot next season. They could be like, how West Ham were this season and end up finishing sixth. So I think fair play to the Aston Villa owners and for splashing so much, but I just don't know why they would reportedly even bid for Tammy Abraham, if I'm being honest, because Ollie Watkins did a fantastic job last season for them. And
could you see them play together, perhaps?
I don't think so, because Jack Grealish, he started out as an attacking midfielder. He used to play centrally, but last season you could see he played on the left side of a front three, right? Watkins was at the center, Grealish was on the left, and Bertrand Traore was on the right. So I don't know how much sense it would make for them to play with two strikers up front. And I mean, Tammy Abraham would definitely do well at Aston Villa, and I think he more than deserves to be in the Premier League 100% for any club, right? But I mean, he deserves to prove his worth, because he's done a pretty decent job, if I'm being honest, and he's still pretty young, so he would do well at a club like that. But the club that I was actually expecting a bid from and expecting Tammy Abraham to go to was actually West Ham, because they need a striker, and honestly, that was what I was after. But I mean, fair play, because Tammy Abraham's time at Chelsea is more or less done. He's running his contract down, hasn't signed an extension. Thomas Tuchel doesn't rate him, so as much as the Cobham enthusiasts would like Tammy Abraham to stay, I don't think he's going to this season. I think he's definitely gone this window. And as long as we get the money, right, because £40 million, it's no joke. And it's a pretty decent fee, I'd say. That's what I was expecting, around the 35 million to 45 probably. We could push it a little bit, but I think that's definitely the area in which I would expect a bid, if it does come from Aston Villa or wherever else it comes from. But fair play to Aston Villa if they actually do invest this much, and I think they could pressure Grealish into staying. They could be like, we're building such a good project here, you could stay on for a couple of years and see how it goes, because he has a contract till 2025, so I don't think they're in any hurry to sell him. But I think exciting times for Aston Villa, most definitely.
Nah, for sure, man. I mean, let's talk about the price now. You did say 35 to 40 million seems like a reasonable price. Ishan, I'll go to you. I mean, whatever happened to the English tax for our players? All these other English players, 60 million, 70 million, 80 million, some 100 million. I mean, let's be honest here. Yes, he's not worked out for Thomas Tuchel. Yes, he's not, fancied by Thomas Tuchel. He's got a lot of development still to happen, but it's not like he's a rubbish player. It's not like he doesn't know how to play football at all. I mean, you can't go last season under Frank Lampard, the season before last one, Frank Lampard's first season, where I think he scored 16 or 17 Premier League goals. Yeah, sure, they might have been against some mid-table teams and whatnot, but there were some key goals against Arsenal, as I can recall off the top of my head. I mean, he is a player that is still developing. It's not like his development has stopped or he's not going to develop any further. He has played really well for Aston Villa before joining us as well in the Championship, where he's absolutely cleaned up for Aston Villa. In fact, helped Aston Villa to get promoted. Yep. I mean, Ishan, 40 million, I thought it would be a little bit more than that, around the 50 million region at least.
Yeah, even I was expecting that, a range of 40 to 50 was what I was expecting. But then I thought that if any Premier League club would sign him, then we would definitely want 50 or above 50 mark, right? But if there was something, any club would approach us to buy Tammy Abraham outside of the Premier League, then 40 million pounds is it's a decent amount. It's not bad, right? So initially, during the previous season, also we've had some biddings from West Ham and also from Newcastle. There were speculations that they were trying to sell, they were trying to buy Tammy Abraham for around 28 to 30 million, which was very less. 40 million was the benchmark, and it had to cross that. Definitely, if 40 million is the price tag what Chelsea are willing to get from him, I think so that's fine. Because if you ask for a 50, then there's not much that Tammy Abraham has proven consistently to take that 50 million mark. Definitely, I get your point that he's very much young and he's a proven Premier League striker. He's done it for Aston Villa. And again, there are speculations that he might again join Aston Villa. So that's a point. But then he's not got that consistency in his game time in this previous concluded season to say that, listen, I'll be the 50 million guy or a 60 million guy. No, I don't think so. That's happening. So 40 million for now, it's okay. But then another thing that you need to consider is that if you're selling to a Premier League club, that means you're basically selling to one of your rivals, right? Potential rivals. And Aston Villa being one of the budding clubs who are trying to achieve something big now, just like what West Ham did in the concluded season. Just like Amaya said, they've got the European League next season. So even Aston Villa is going to aim for that. So once you sell to your rivals, you just cannot let it go very easily. There has to be some clauses. There has to be some add-ons, definitely. So yeah, I'm pretty much happy with the 40 million mark, but there has to be some add-ons if you sell to Aston Villa. I'll be rather very happy if, like just Amaya said, I would be very happy if Tammy Abraham joins West Ham. It would be perfect for him because Aston Villa is already proven there. It'll be very good to see what he does in West Ham United. If another permutation combination here is if he goes.
I knew you were going to go. I knew you were going to go.
You know me, man.
We can't go without a stream talking about Declan Rice.
There's a thing called exchange policy, yeah. So that can be triggered by any means. So we can just. Even West Ham is a London club, so you can trigger that 40 million to 50 million, and then you can get Tammy plus 50 million, and you can give us Rice if you want. But then, that's up to the choice.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, it makes sense, as we said, him going to West Ham. They need a striker. But these days, the transfer business, it's too difficult to do what Ishan said, the player plus cash. Generally, the opposition club wants pure cash. They just want full cash so they can go out there and scout whatever they want to get. And as opposed to, because then it becomes a whole situation of how much do you value that player? How much do you value my player? And they don't want to discount price for Declan Rice because they believe they can sell Declan Rice for about 100 million. So, but look, that's for a different day. We won't talk about the ins and outs of Declan Rice. But moving back to Tammy Abraham again, as I was saying to Ishan, I mean, I feel like there's too much, and maybe I'm guilty as well at times. I feel like there's too much disrespect for a player like Tammy Abraham. Let's be honest. Almost 3/4 of the season, he was still the leading Chelsea goal scorer, and he wasn't even featuring. And I know a lot of people can say he scored some goals against weaker teams and so on and so forth. I feel like there is a player in him. There is a player. He's just not Chelsea level as yet to win us a Premier League. Let's get that right. So if we're being objective, I don't think he's the kind of player that will win us a Premier League yet. But I will not be surprised one bit, Amir, if he turns out to be someone like Lukaku years down the track. Lukaku, let's be honest, Lukaku's 28 now. I think he's going to be 29, right? So he's at his prime striker's age. Do you know what I mean? That's why he's moving and scoring the level of goals because he's so mature, mentally mature and obviously physically mature as well. Tammy, there's still a bit of growth to happen. Maybe he needs to physically bulk up a little bit. He's a bit lanky. He doesn't use his, size well enough against some of the defenders. But as he matures and gets older, I feel like he will become a very smart operator. I mean, I could be wrong as well. I don't know. But the way it's going, you kind of think that it will be something like that in the future. So from that perspective, Amir, I mean, should we just take it so lightly? Yeah, 40 million, Aston Villa, just take it. Or should we be like, no, there is a player in him. Yeah, Thomas Tuchel doesn't rate him, but he's still an asset. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, he definitely is. And you know what? He should just hire Antonio Conte as his personal trainer. I mean, Antonio Conte is unemployed now anyway. He will make an absolute beast out of Tammy Abraham, that's for sure. But I think, there's definitely a player in there. But like the comment just said, right, there's just 1 year left on his contract at the moment, which is why...
That's the thing. Is there 1 year or 2 years? Because I saw someone say 2 years left as well. So I'm not really sure.
I thought it was just... I thought it was just 1 year as well. I think it's 2022 expiry. Which is why, it's 2023, is it? fair enough. But with 1 year left on your contract, I think that's definitely going to be they're going to undervalue you by a lot, right? So I think selling him now would ideally be the best situation, and we could get a lot of money. But things can change. I know maybe he wins. I mean, if he does end up staying, like the issue is if we quote too high a price. I mean, like on FIFA, they'll be like, I feel like I've wasted my trip here. We'll be looking at other options. That type of response. We don't want that type of response, right? Especially if he does not extend, and then next year we're definitely going to have to let him go for much cheaper, especially if he doesn't play this season as well. That's going to drive down his price even more, which is why at the end of last season, when he scored those 17 Premier League goals for us, if you'd said 50 million, then I would have said easily, right? Easily. But looking at the season he's had, especially the past 6 months, he was pretty decent under Lampard, but Tuchel just does not rate him at all for some reason. So I think looking at the past 6 months, I think 40 million seems like a pretty fair deal to me. But like Ishan mentioned, I would love some add-ons, maybe a buyback clause, maybe, something like a first refusal, or maybe a sell-on clause as well, like how Manchester City have for Jadon Sancho at the moment. I mean, you see all those tweets when Man United spend 95 million on Sancho, and then City use that money which they get from the Sancho deal and splash it all on Harry Kane, right? or Grealish, for instance.
Crazy.
So we definitely need to include that sort of clause in there somewhere. Either an add-on or a buyback definitely has to be included there, because like you mentioned, like 5 years down the line, or maybe 3 years down the line, he could end up being one of the best strikers in the Premier League. I wouldn't put it against that. He just needs that, era of development, like how Lukaku had at Everton initially before he joined Manchester United. He needs that sort of period, and I think Aston Villa could be a pretty good club to get that. So if he were able to get that, then I would definitely expect Marina to insert some sly clauses in there somewhere so that it benefits us in the future in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. Ishan, just to wrap up the whole Tammy Abraham before we move on to the next player, I mean, as I said initially, I wouldn't be one bit surprised down the track. Look, there is still a lot of development. I can see a lot of comments here, and I knew this anyway. There's still a lot of development that needs to happen for Tammy, most notably the heading ability, his aerial ability. For a tall player, he should be scoring a lot more headers from the crosses, and he should be relishing on those sort of opportunities. But are you going to be surprised, Ishan, if years down the track, say 2 seasons, 3 seasons down the track, and Tammy, whether he goes to West Ham or Aston Villa, absolutely pumps in 20 plus goals in the Premier League? Are you going to be surprised if Chelsea's linked with him again?
You asked me this question before, and I said that it's a Chelsea thing. It's an absolute Chelsea thing. I won't be surprised, yeah. And listen, another interesting question that came to my mind as you were asking this question was, that the Lukaku example that you gave, that when we had Lukaku in Chelsea back in 2011 was the only 10 games that he played for us, right? Then we had the likes of Drogba and Torres, right? So we could not play Lukaku whatsoever. There was no chance whatsoever that Lukaku could play as a striker. Now, we do not have a potent number 9, knowing the fact that Olivier Giroud is going out to AC Milan. There's only one potent absolute number 9, which is Tammy Abraham, and the rest of the guys are kind of false 9, right? Kai Havertz and Timo Werner.
9.5s. Do you know
9.5 and 9.546 and all those stuff. So Tammy Abraham is the only legit number 9, And if this guy goes out of Chelsea, whatever the transfer fee is, never mind. But if he goes out to Chelsea at this point of time where we actually need a striker, and he goes out to become someone very big, like Lukaku big, I think so. We would start regretting more than what we regret for Lukaku and De Bruyne.
I mean, we have seen this story, Ishan. We have seen this story, right?
But the scenario is different here. When we had De Bruyne and Lukaku, we could not play these guys anyhow, right? Because we had already high calibrated players with the likes of, if you talk about strikers, we had Drogba, Torres. If we are talking about midfielder, we had Fabregas, Lampard, and all those stuffs, right? All those guys. So there was no chance De Bruyne and Lukaku was playing at those times. But at this point of time, there is a chance that if Thomas Tuchel wants this guy to play, he can play right in that number 9 position. So it will be a sense of regression for us that if this guy goes out and becomes one of the best in the world, or maybe in the Premier League, it will be a huge regression factor. But then again, like I said in your previous shows, Miss, that we should not be surprised if Tammy Abraham goes out and becomes better. It's his right as a football player, as a human being, to develop and become better. grow bigger, grow better each and every season, and that's what he should do, right? And if he's not getting to develop in this scenario, in this surrounding, in Chelsea Football Club at this point of time, knowing that he won't get the maximum amount of game times that he deserves, okay, fine, let's go switch to your different clubs, get your best gaming time that you want, and develop as good as you can. We as human beings, we would like him to develop. Yeah, we cannot just confine him, restrain him, handcuff him and make him sit and bench warm for us in Chelsea Football Club. that shouldn't be the case. We should let him. If Thomas Tuchel is not he's not willing to develop this guy. If Thomas Tuchel says that, listen, he's got some attributes which I cannot develop in this guy, so fine, let him go to a different club, let him go to a different manager, to a different set of players. Maybe he'll grow as a player, and that's what he would want for him as well. So it'll be good for him to go.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely agreed. Thank you so much, Chelsea Perspective, for this super chat. Abraham cannot expect the club to commit to his development when he refused to commit his future to the club. I suppose, yeah, to a degree, you can sort of say that as well, in the sense that, the contract extension for Tammy Abraham was actually in the plate for a while. And it kind of feels like Tammy did not want to do that if he didn't feel that he could lead the line for Chelsea, that Chelsea were not going to buy the players like Haaland and, obviously Timo Werner and Kai Havertz and all of these. So, I personally would have loved if Tammy had just signed the contract extension and really asserted himself in training, worked hard, and one day just become, that number one striker for us. But that's the one thing that I don't appreciate from Tammy, that he's just taken the easy route, that no, I think I'm good enough already. I'm going to go to a different club and do my best there. And then, look, I don't know whether that's the case. There were talks about wage being a bit of an issue because Callum was on a high wage and he's not on a high, as similar wage as Callum, and Tammy banged in 16, 17 goals in Frank Lampard's first season. So, look, there's a lot of things, and I'm not here to criticize a personal situation. A footballer has a very small amount of time to make all the money that they can make for the rest of their life. So he's only doing what he needs to do for himself and for his family, and kudos to that. But I wish he had stayed. That's all I'm saying. I do want to quickly refer to this before we go to Ziyech, which is going to be an interesting topic as well. Marcus Trashford, man, I love you having on the live chat. You're one of the people that really support me a lot. Why are we comparing Lukaku to Tammy? Both totally different players. Lukaku scoring goals at 18, unlike Tammy. You're right. We're not completely comparing here. We're just talking about the scenarios that now we're looking at Lukaku, bringing him back. Once upon a time, we let him go as well, and feel like Tammy is sort of. And to talk about Tammy, Lukaku definitely scored a lot of goals as a youngster. And once again, this is not a comparison, but just to say, Tammy was also banging in goals in the Championship. And I know it's Championship. It's Championship. I get that. Whereas Lukaku was scoring goals against for West Brom and Everton in the Premier League. I get that. But Tammy, Championship is not some child's play. Do you know what I mean? And he was literally banging in the goals over there. Aston Villa, I think he banged in about 23, 25 goals for them. And then Bristol City, I believe, before that.
He was one of the best players in the Championship at that time, in fact. And he had one of the highest goal scorers despite being at a pretty shit club in the Championship. I don't think Bristol City, but even in the top half of the table, and he still got 20 plus goals. So he was carrying that team that season. So he's actually done a phenomenal job. I just think the Swansea loan came a little bit too soon for him, which is why it's sort of stalled his development. I think another loan in the Championship and then in the Premier League would have benefited him a lot. But I definitely think there's still a player in there somewhere.
100%. And to couple all of that, and then with the 16, 17 goals that he scored for Frank Lampard in his season, there's a player in there. But anyway, that's enough about Tammy Abraham. We know his time's coming to an end in Chelsea, and good luck to him wherever he goes. It'll be interesting to monitor where he goes, because I will be following this player, whichever club he goes. It'll be interesting to see. Let's talk about Hakim Ziyech. Amir, I'll go to you now. I mean, for me, I had a show yesterday. I'm not sure if live chat, I'm pretty sure you guys would have seen yesterday's show where we were building with Ryan. If we switch to a 4-2-3-1 or a back four, where we will do more other formations as well. And we sort of said that, Amir, Ziyech becomes I'm not going to say an important player, but he becomes a player that allows us for flexible, tactical flexibility. Do you know what I mean? Like if we go to a back four, then he should be getting more games than what he is getting now in a back three, because you do need that extra attacker in a back four, because you're going to end up playing with one extra attacker. For me personally, and maybe it's a bit of bias because you all know I love Hakim Ziyech, but I'm trying to take that bias away and thinking about it from an objective point of view. I don't understand why Thomas Tuchel would want to get rid of a player like Hakim Ziyech, unless if he's absolutely sold on the back three that this is what I'm going to do. But when I'm thinking about the back three now, we missed out on Hakimi. I don't know if we're really going to get Adama Traore. I'm not really sure. Are we going to pursue the back three again with the same players that we have this last season? Because for me, it felt like that wasn't good enough all the time, playing as the wing backs with Reece James and Azpilicueta. Reece James can get better, but I don't think it was good enough last season. That's why we were getting linked. Moving to a back four, for argument's sake, I'm not saying you have to do it, but if you do, it just shows that, Thomas Tuchel's probably evolving. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't want to just get fixated into a three where next season it may not work out. Do you know what I mean? It may work out, it may not work out. So from that perspective, we do go back to a back four, or even if we do keep a back three, Emir, and sometimes we want to use the back four as a formational change within a game or different games, depending on opposition, Ziyech still has a value in this team, in my perspective. What's your thoughts?
No, I agree. I completely agree. He wasn't that poor in a back three either, was he? He popped up with some very important goals against City in the FA Cup. He scored against Atletico Madrid at home as well. So he's done some good stuff there, even despite playing in a back three. And I know it doesn't suit him entirely, but he is a very good player. And honestly, I don't think Thomas Tuchel or Chelsea want to get rid of him. The issue is, and I've said this before, I think Hakim Ziyech wants to be the main man. He's in his prime.
Yeah.
And, especially if we do get that striker, right, that the expensive 100 million striker that we're all waiting for, 150
just say
million,
the word.
rather.
Just say the word, bro. Just say the word.
If we do get Erling Braut Haaland from Borussia Dortmund, then I think another spot goes in the attack, right? And there's only three that can fit in. And especially if we play with the three at the back, Mason Mount's going to occupy the left wing spot as well. We know that for sure. So there's just two spots left. And if Haaland takes up one of that, there's just one spot left, right? And we've seen how good Havertz has been in the Euros as well. And he had a very good end to the season. We've seen Werner can be pretty good there. We still haven't even touched the surface with Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi. So there is just so much talent there. And I think what everyone's getting at is, if there was a player who would likely, leave out of all our attacking options, then it would be Tammy Abraham and Hakim Ziyech, mainly not because we don't value him, or not because, Thomas Tuchel wants to get rid of him, or I just think that if one of them had to leave, if one of the wingers had to leave, then it would most likely be Ziyech, who, we could definitely get a fee for him. He's in his prime. And I just think that's where I'm at the moment. I honestly would hate for him to leave, but I wouldn't be surprised. That's all I'm going to say. That's how I would like to frame it. I think he's definitely an important part, and he would help us massively, especially if we switch to four at the back. If we don't manage to get a striker, if we decide to spend big on that one DM as well, who lives right across Stamford Bridge in London.
Man, this guy keeps popping up in the show, even when the show is not even about him.
This man keeps lingering in the scene, man.
He's inevitable.
He's inevitable,
especially.
Bro. He's inevitable.
So, as much as I like Tchouaméni, I know that you guys, Miz probably knows how much I adore Tchouaméni. So, but anyway, so if we do get a DM and if we do switch to four at the back, then Ziyech will play a very important role, especially with cutting in and allowing Reece James the space to, overlap and maybe put some crosses in. So I think Hakim Ziyech should definitely stay, in my opinion, but he is most likely on the chopping block because Pulisic isn't going to leave, Werner isn't going to leave, Mount isn't going to leave. Hudson-Odoi, I did see that Chelsea were willing to let him go on loan, but apparently Hudson-Odoi wants to stay and fight for his space, so he's not going to leave. So the only person left is Hakim Ziyech. So I wouldn't be too surprised if an offer comes in and he's tempted to leave, but I don't think we're going to let him go on cheap, or it's not like we're transfer listed him at all. It's just that if a bid comes, we might evaluate it, and Marina might sit down with Tuchel and be like, you know what, if he isn't that important of a player for you next season, and I know that he's going to get games, but if he isn't going to start week in, week out, if he isn't going to be that star player for you, he's in his prime, we've got some good offers in, then it might be time to move him on.
Yeah, look, I mean, as you've said, I mean, it'd be so disappointing to see a player after one season move on, where we should be giving. And as you said, and we all know, there's been games where he's been monumental. 2 Man City games as well, back to back, where he was the star man. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Atletico Madrid, he was the star man. Frank Lampard time, there were at least 2 or 3 back-to-backs where he was getting man of the matches. So, Isham, this comment here I want to talk about. Recently, there was an article in the Athletic where they apparently did an interview with Thomas Tuchel, and he's been quoted to say that he wants to see few players, give them an opportunity. I really like this comment. People saying we have to give chance, I think it means chance, to Bakayoko and Loftus-Cheek. Why not Ziyech? It's pretty crazy. We are willing to give those players a chance, but not Ziyech at times. I mean, what's your thoughts about Hakim Ziyech? I mean, there is the sense that he wants to be the main guy in Chelsea because of his character, his demeanor. But in a 3, it's so difficult because of the limited attacking. But in a 4, if we were to change, he will get a lot of game. And I feel like he could become a very important player. I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you let him go because your plans are completely back 3? Or do you keep him just in case you need to switch things up? It's a long season.
First of all, Machiavelli M, shout out to you. You spoke my heart out. Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say. That Thomas Tuchel wants to try out Bakayoko and Loftus-Cheek. So what wrong has Hakim Ziyech done? Just one season, he scored so many important goals. He's brought that impact in many games that we saw, and he's a big game player. We all know that he's featured in some big games for us. So it'll be absolutely criminal to let him go just by virtue of one season. Yeah. So let's just give him another season. He deserves another season. We've won the Champions League with this guy, and he scored some important goal for us even in that competition. So definitely, just now coming back to the next part of your question, just like you said, we're missing out on Hakimi. So there's a possibility that Thomas Tuchel would go to a back 4 rather than a back 3. So if that's the case, we'll have an extra attacker in the pitch like we always talk about. Yeah. So I think so. If we go for a back 4, that solves most of the issue, like we saw your show yesterday with Ran, and it was a wonderful show, by the way. So it basically solves. Absolutely, it solves the puzzle in an attacking sense that yes, all the attackers can be used now. Knowing the fact that if you want to keep Havertz as your false 9 for the majority part of the season, fine. On the left hand side you'll have Werner and Pulisic switching it up, and then on the right hand side you can have Ziyech and Hudson-Odoi switching up, and then in your attacking mid position you can have Mount. So this solves everything from the attacking sense. Again, we have a sacrifice when it comes to one centre back position, but that's fine. So I think so. Even Thomas Tuchel is giving a hint. When we've heard this Loftus-Cheek and Bakayoko getting links again with Thomas Tuchel, we know that. I think so. We're going to go for a back 4, because I don't think so. It makes much sense if we still stick for a back 3 and play Loftus-Cheek in the double pivot role. I don't think so. That makes sense, because Loftus-Cheek is more of a attacking mid player. He likes to move forward. He likes to take on defenders one-on-one and create those important passes. And that's what we've seen, what Loftus-Cheek can do the best for Chelsea when Sarri was there. So it doesn't make sense. So I think so. Now looking at the fact that Hakimi deal is over for Chelsea, I feel that we're going to go for a back 4 again, and that enables us for one extra attacker. And if that's the case, definitely Hakim Ziyech has to stay. If we go for a back 4 and Hakim Ziyech leave, that will be absolutely criminal. That should not happen by any means. And mentioning about Ziyech, we've also seen one. I've read in one article that he had given an interview where he was asked about his future and the links that he was being with AC Milan about a permanent deal or something. So he said that, listen, I've just won a Champions League with this club, and I cannot be more happier than what I was, and I cannot stop the other journalists to write anything for
I don't
when it
know
comes
where
to
those
transfer.
quotes came from, though. I'm not sure, Ishan, because I fell for it as well. I was like, when did he say this? So I'm not really sure whether he said it or not. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but then that's what they are terming in few articles I've read. So if even if that's not the scene, even he might realize that
It kind of makes sense. Yeah, it kind of makes sense what you're trying to say. That like that's something maybe what Ziyech could possibly say.
Yeah, it does, and if we switch to a back four, definitely that will help Ziyech also to go into the extreme wide position, wide angle, create those chances, and that's what actually his gameplay is. Now coming into the back three position, he had constricted his playing area. He was more of an attacking mid. As we know, we have the two attacking mids, behind just the number 9 or the false 9, what we call. So it restricts the gameplay of Hakim Ziyech. He cannot go the wide angles and try to put on these crosses, which he is the best at. So, going to a back four and making that wide angle for Hakim Ziyech to fill up that space, that would be absolutely perfect. And if we go for a back four with an extra attacker next season, Hakim Ziyech has to stay no matter what.
Yeah, man. Look, for me, you guys already know I would love to see him at least another season, see what's going on. Let's talk a little bit about this particular transfer move, though. The interest from AC Milan, Amir. AC Milan apparently doesn't want to buy him straight up. Look, first of all, AC Milan, they've let go of that playmaker, Turkish playmaker, Hakan Çalhanoğlu. I think that's how you pronounce. I don't really know exactly how you pronounce, but I think that's how you pronounce it. And they are desperately looking for a particular playmaker again. Obviously, they're in for a shout for Giroud. Apparently, that's just around the corner. That's going to happen. They're in for a shout for Bakayoko as well, because they're, Bakayoko in Italy, let's be honest, he's actually done okay. I saw some stats the other day, last season. I think he was Napoli, maybe.
Napoli,
and
Napoli.
he played 44 games all season, all comps. So 2 goals, 1 assist, but that he's a defensive midfielder, so that that's not important. But 44 games is a lot of games, so that means he's gotten over his injury situation. He's had a season at AC Milan as well before, and AC Milan are interested in him again. So maybe Italian Serie A fits him. Now they're in for Hakim Ziyech, but they're not there for the buy. They want a loan, possibly with a buy option, maybe. But Chelsea, as you said, they want the right price. They don't want loan. It's either you buy him from us, give us the right money. We've, I think, bought him for about 30 million pounds. So we approximately want something around that particular mark. Considering the amount of contract years that's left with us. I think he signed a 5-year contract maybe with Chelsea, or maybe a 4-year contract. I'm not exactly. I think it was a 5-year. But yeah, I mean, I understand why AC Milan wants him, but if you want him, if you want to show the interest, mate, just come and buy him. Like as I said, and we've all mentioned it, we don't want him sold. But none of this loan business. If you want him, get him. I mean, is that where your stance is at the moment?
Yep, 100%. I mean, he's not like a young player who's going to go on loan and mature and come back, and we can utilize him in the next couple of years. He's a player. He's at such a stage in his career that if he leaves now, I don't think he's coming back to Chelsea Football Club, right? So yeah. I think the loan to buy, loan with an option to buy, or loan with an obligation to buy, that's just it's a ploy to bring the price down. I mean, if you're willing to pay some sort of money now in the form of loan fees, and then you're going to buy him permanently, next summer for a particular price. That's what they did with Tomori, didn't they? They loaned him for 6 months, and then they signed him for 25 million from us. They had an option which they decided to exercise. So I think they're not going to have a massive budget, right? Because as we've spoken before, the Serie A, every club in that league, the league as a whole, it's
financial issues. Yeah,
bro, they're broke. There's no other words, right? Every one of them is broke. So I think they're going to be looking to bring the price down as much as possible. Even the Giroud stuff, right? I think Chelsea want a 4 or a 5 million pound fee, but then apparently they AC
want a
Milan,
free transfer. They want a free transfer.
They're pressuring Giroud's agents to convince Chelsea to let him go on a free. So they're really broke. They're trying to cut, every corner that they can financially, but I just don't think that's going to work for us. There's no way we're letting him go, especially to AC Milan once again after what they did to us for Tomori. I don't think there's going to be a loan with an option to buy, loan with an obligation to buy. If they want it, then come up with an offer. I think say 30 to 40 million, maybe a reasonable amount for him, considering the season.
Let's be honest, Amir. He's a very good player. This should not be cheap.
He shouldn't, definitely. And I think, I think he definitely could go for more as well. But the issue is I don't think they're going to pay up as much. There's no way they're spending like 60 million pounds or something on one single player. That's probably their budget for the whole window, right? There's no way they're going to splash that on one player. So I think a fee of about 45 million, I think if they were to come up with a fee like that, then that could get our executives thinking. But until there is an offer on the table, I don't care who AC Milan go and pressurize, his agents, his wife, I don't even know what, man. As long as they don't present the bag of money in front of Marina Granovskaya's face, I don't think we're even going to consider selling him for a single second.
I love this. There you go. That's exactly how a proper fan talks. That's the objective view right there from Amir. All of these rumors about Ziyech leaving, as Declared has mentioned as well in this live chat, many other people I don't think Ziyech is actually looking to leave. It's more Chelsea's, I suppose, meh about the situation that we can still use him. He's a very good player. But AC Milan, if you're so interested, bring the money and take him. So just to wrap up the Ziyech situation, Amir, I know you need to go. So my man, we will catch you again some other time. Thank you so much for your time, Amir. Honestly, guys, before Amir goes, please, we've got 120 people live. Smash the like button and check out Amir's socials in the description, his Twitter handle, and also his YouTube channel link. Please go out there and subscribe. 120 of you guys, just go out there and subscribe right now. Honestly, please do me a favor. Amir, thank you so much for your time.
Yep, thanks for having me on, and have a great stream, guys. Hopefully next time I'll stick around for the whole thing.
Thank you, my man. Thank you so much.
Yep. See you guys.
All right. So Ishan, as I was saying, with the Ziyech factor, I've lost my chain of thought. What I was going to say. What was I going to say? I've lost my chain of thought completely.
You're wrapping things on Ziyech, yeah. You're wrapping things around Ziyech.
I was going to say that, man, I can't believe I've completely forgotten what I was going to say. Live chat, help me out. What was I talking about? I've completely lost my chain of thought now. I was going to say something really, really important about Hakim Ziyech.
Live chat, try to read Mrs. Mind. So what was he trying to say?
What was I talking about? Just get me back on track before I started talking about Amir leaving, because I've completely forgotten. Wrapping up Tammy and wrapping up Ziyech. Anyway, if I do remember, we'll come back to it. But with the Ziyech factor, man, honestly, it'll be sad for him to leave. I wouldn't want him to go at all. I hope he gets one more season. I don't think he wants to leave either. Personally, I feel. He's not said anything or anything like that. And I'm pretty sure Thomas Tuchel would probably want to keep him. Let's talk about Andreas Christensen now, Ishan. The contract extension. I really want to take a good amount of time right now and talk about this particular player. For me, this player is one of the hottest properties in terms of a defender at the moment. He's been so solid for Denmark as well. Scored an absolute screamer against, I can't remember, Switzerland or someone recently. And then, obviously yesterday, the last group stage game. And then yesterday against Wales, he was, once again, solid 4-0 victory. And for Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel, he's been sort of in rotation when Silva has been injured. Russia, there you go. Thank you, live chat. Honestly, I love the live chat. I can always rely on live chat to help me out. Thank you so much. But Ishan, even under Thomas Tuchel, when Thiago Silva has been injured, he's filled in brilliantly to a point where he actually gave us a bit more confusion whether when Silva comes back, does he automatically take over from Christensen? Because he's put in such great performances, he's really created a bit of a confusion. For me right now, if I'm speaking, I know I tweeted that he's top 3 and that was a bit of a vibes sort of thing. But for me, he's a top defender. Like we talk about the Haalands and the Lukakus and the Kanes in the market in such demand. If Christensen was in the market, let's just say for argument's sake, I think he would have been one of the hottest defenders in demand at the moment. I mean, what's your thoughts on Christensen?
Yeah, just give him a contract, man. He has been so good for us. He's been so good under, just since Thomas Tuchel came, he's just become a different man, different player. He's shown that maturity, and that's what he was lacking. Even when Frank Lampard was our manager, he was playing games. There were good games as well that he played. But then it was this maturity that he was lacking. And since Thomas Tuchel arrived, the more time he spent with Thiago Silva and Rudiger and Azpilicueta, he's become more mature now. We see the sense of intelligence in him, that yes, listen, I need to command in this defensive line. I am the one. I am the only one. I cannot rely to other defenders, and that's what makes you a good defender, right? If you're there as a defender, you need to take care of things yourself. Definitely, there has to be coordination and chemistry and all those sort. But then you, as a man, you have to take the responsibility of checking each and everything that has to come your way. So definitely, he's become more mature as a man comparatively to what we had Christensen a few years ago till now. Even now, he's physically more, a little bit more stronger. We can see he's a little bit more busted up, and he's a little bit more stronger physically. So even that adds to his arsenal. He's definitely a hot prospect. Very well said, Miz. I mean, if he goes to a transfer market, he has to be up there. 70 million plus is minimum.
We've got the commentary from Marcus Trashford again. Christensen was 70 to 80 million if Chelsea were to say. I have to agree with this. I think he's minimum 70 million. Minimum. Such a great. He's a ball-playing centre back. He has the ability to drive forward with the ball as well. He's got a great shooting technique. I know he's scored that against Denmark, but he hasn't scored anything for Chelsea yet. But he knows how to take a long range as well. It's not like he's poor with his long ranges. The thing where I probably would want him to develop is maybe in set pieces, more header goals in set pieces would be brilliant. But I would say, positionally, he's very aware as well. And under Thomas Tuchel, Ishan, he's really become like a mature defender. It's not like he gets bodied as he used to previously. He's put in a bit more muscle now. I mean, we talk about buying players and selling players. It's so important to make sure that the contract extensions for key players are done as well. How important is that, man?
True, very, very true, very true. The contract extension for these few guys: N'Golo Kante, number 1; Andres Christensen, number 2; Antonio Rudiger, number 3. Obviously,
I think Jorginho as well. There's talks about Jorginho. I think there's talks about Jorginho,
number 5. So these few players who are trying to sign their contract, we are hearing the rumors of them signing contract. These 4-5 players are absolutely vital for Chelsea. N'Golo Kante should have no problems with Chelsea. I think so. Chelsea should straight away, just after the Euros, straight away get this contract extended with N'Golo Kante, as well as Rudiger and Christensen. These guys have been very, very pivotal for us, and they will be for the next season as well. We just cannot let go experienced guys, knowing the fact that they're old. We know that Chelsea has got a strong academy, and we also like to buy and also inherit young players in our team, right? So that's how important these experienced guys come up as well. They need to teach these experienced guys, and I think so. The first instinct when I came to hear last season when Chelsea tried to sign Thiago Silva, I was very happy the fact that they are buying one of the best defenders in world football, and one of the most experienced, because it's not just a quick fix. That point of time and the previous season, it was like a quick fix for the defenders, right? Because at that point of time, Christensen was not performing well, and we needed a quick fix, and Thiago Silva was one of them. So he just not proved as a quick fix, but also an anchor at the back. Now, we can say end of the previous season, we can say each and every centre back that we have is an anchor, is a commander in the defensive line, and that's a huge point that we Chelsea fans should be proud of. But one dilemma and one worry that I am is, let's talk about something. about the formations and the dilemma between selecting our defenders and attackers.
Yeah.
Just think about this, right? Now, the formation we are playing, we've played a back three the whole season. That's where the defenders came up and did their best, right? Now, every defender that we have has performed at their best level as a back three defense formation, right?
Yep.
Our attackers has not been at their best, right? We all know that Ziyech hasn't performed at his best. Neither has Hudson Odoi, neither has Werner, neither has Kai Havertz. Mount was the one who was consistent, but then if our four main frontliners are not at their best, that means our attackers has not been at their best, right? Our defense line has been at their best. How? By virtue of playing a back three formation. Now, next season, if we trash this back three formation and go for a back four, what happens to our defense line? Who plays that back two center back positions when we know that we have performed best under back three, having all the defenders playing so well in those three back three positions? Why should we go for a back four and have an extra attacker? But we also know the fact that if we want better from our attackers, we need to have an extra man in the attacking position, right? So for that, we need to go for a back four and then have an extra man in the attacking. It's a huge dilemma. I don't know how Thomas Tuchel will solve that. Like I always say, there has a sacrifice coming, but it's not just a simple sacrifice. Think about that. We've been one of the best defensive teams in the world in the last season by playing a back three, right? And all these players have shined. They've become one of the best defenders in Premier League when they're playing in the back three. Now, if you're saying to me that we're going to switch to a back four, maybe our attackers will shine in a back four, having an extra attacker in the front. But what happens to our back three? What happens to that rigid back three that we've been proud of the previous concluded season? It's a huge dilemma. What's your take on that?
Yeah, man. Look, once again, yesterday, as I was saying with Ryan, when we did the formation change, we had a massive conversation as to who would be the two defenders if we go on a back four. We said that Rudiger has to be one of them because he's showing immense quality under Thomas Tuchel, and I think he will understand exactly how to play in a back four under Thomas Tuchel, as long as we have the two pivots up front to cover for them. And the partner that we chose for Rudiger was Andreas Christensen, because the way we play is we need ball-playing football defenders at the back. We build up and we want to spray passes as well, and at the same time help Jorginho build up from the back. And you need defenders that are good on the ball, but at the same time you need defenders that are quick and can recover quick as well. And in that sense, Zuma is a great player who has got a lot of pace, good recovery. But what Zuma doesn't have is he's not good on the ball. He's absolutely not good on the ball. So, we partnered Rudiger with Christensen, but we also said Thiago Silva, with the amount of games that we have, Christensen and Thiago Silva will basically alternate. They'll get enough game time. But yeah, it is a big change, Ishan. It is absolutely a big change, because from going from a 3 to a 4, our players currently look very comfortable in a 3, because maybe that's the characteristic of the players. But this is where the preseason comes into play, Ishan. This is where Thomas Tuchel can take the time. And the worst part is we've got the Euros, so some of the players won't even be able to return back on time. But at least it allows Thomas Tuchel to work on the 4, get the defenders in, use the different patterns of play from the back, how to defend with the ball, off the ball, whatnot. So, I would love to, as I said, I don't mind if we continue with the 3, but I wouldn't also disregard if we move back to a 4, because as you said, Ishan, I would like to see another attacker come in and really help out the attack, that ability to create open space. And I'm not saying that creating is an issue for us, because we have created. It was more of the issue of not finishing, but it doesn't hurt having another attacker. So that's my perspective on it. In a back 4, I would probably have Christensen and Rudiger. Maybe they can complement each other for Thomas Tuchel.
Also, one more thing, that we know that Christensen has been at his best form of his life in a back 3, and we do not envy him much in a back 4, being one. And
I think for Denmark as well, Ishan. I think Denmark as well.
Even they play a back 3, and he's perfect in that, and that's why he's getting the maximum output, right? So we know that Christensen is the best at back three. What if he does not deliver at that potential in a back four? And what if even Rudiger, is playing at a back three in Chelsea. He's played such a beautiful season, previous concluded season. But what if he does not deliver? We all know that Thiago Silva can switch to both, be it a back three or a back four. He's perfect in that. And Zuma is pretty good when it comes to back four, right? And if that's the case, you wouldn't want to let Zuma go away from Chelsea, right? Knowing the fact that he's very good in back four. And we also should remember the time when Lampard was our manager. We had 16 or 17 games unbeaten, right? When we had the back four of Chilwell, James, Thiago Silva, and Zuma. They were the constant back four.
Yeah.
So, and we were very happy with them. So Zuma can play very good at a back four. But I mean, it's a huge question mark, right? How would Christensen play again in a back four if we do change the formation next season?
No, you're right, man. It's something to be seen, and I'm hoping it will be different, because the back four that Frank Lampard played, I think Frank just defensively, the setup with the ball, off the ball, just wasn't right, and I think Thomas Tuchel will ensure that gets right. Will give them the right communication, the right information, and it all comes down to the pattern of play. You have to understand the pattern of play, and I'm hopeful that the players will understand that. Chelsea's own, thank you so much for the super chat. Christensen is technically very good. He's very underrated because he doesn't put himself out there in public, so not many people actually know of him. This is so true. I do want to talk about this quickly with you, Ishan. We hype about all these other academy players. We forget the fact that Christensen himself is an academy player, but for some reason he doesn't seem to get the accolades that he probably deserves. Like even recently, Levi Colwill, who's an 18-year-old who's got a loan opportunity, loan deal now with Huddersfield. I mean, the fan base went in pandemonium for Levi Colwill. I mean, I'm not someone who watches the academy on a day-to-day basis, but I hear the names here and there. But there's so much hype about Levi. There's so much hype about, Tino Livramento. There's so much hype about many other players. But for some reason, Christensen doesn't tend to get that added hype. I mean, what's your thoughts? Why is that?
I always feel there's an elevation of a player's life, right? So Mason Mount is an academy player, and Reece James is another example that I can give. That career just elevated, and now they've won the Champions League. So it went here to like this, right? So they're always in the news that they're the Chelsea academy player, and they're new, right? They're very young. Christensen, the time with what Mason Mount is living and Reece James is living at this point of time in Chelsea was the time Christensen lived back in 2014 and 2015. If you remember, John Terry said that, listen, Christensen is going to be a big player one day. Yeah. And he did that in 2014. So that was the time when Christensen was a budding academy player, and he came to Chelsea and he was searching for spaces. But then, we could not play Christensen at that point of time, right? We had ample of defenders. We had David Luiz, John Terry was still there, right? So there were ample of defenders we had at that time. Gary Cahill was also still there. So there was no chance Christensen could come up and be in that spotlight, right? So as the time passed by, he went to loan to Mönchengladbach, if I'm not mistaken. So he went out to loan and came back. So after he came back, the spotlight went off, and the defenders, we moved on from being Christensen being an academy guy. We inherited more defenders from outside, and the likes of Zuma came in, Rudiger came in later on. So we tried defenders from different clubs as well. So Christensen never got that. There was an elevation that had to had in a particular age, but then he went out for loan, and the age where he needed that elevation, we already had the likes of many defenders. So he did not get his much gaming time, but definitely very rightly said in your previous super chat that he's a very underrated player, and the way he has developed himself as a mature player, with the likes of Thiago Silva beside him, and also Rudiger. These all guys, they've developed themselves immensely, and it makes me feel so happy as a Chelsea fan to see them actually mature. It's not just the performances one here and there. It's actually the development, the maturity, the intensity they bring up in the pitch. That's what really makes me feel so happy about him.
No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Marcus Rashford is on a madness in live chat. I'm loving the comments that he's providing. Honestly, guys, we still have over 115 people, logged on right now. Please smash the like button. Let's get it to at least 100 likes. As I said, it helps the channel out a lot. We are on a race to 6,000 subscribers. So, you guys have been following me for a while now. So, I cannot appreciate enough. So, smash the like button, help it get to at least 100 likes. As I said, helps the video a lot. And the panelists, check out their socials in the description and follow them everywhere. This particular comment, Andasari, Chelsea back four went on to finish third and win Europa League title with the same players we have now. It's all Lampard's fault why Chelsea fans are scared of the back four. Look, I mean, just taking the whole last part out, you're right, Marcus Rashford. In regards to Chelsea's back four, it's like some of our fans at times, they feel that we can't revert back to a back four anymore. We've done so well in a three. There was a time where we used to play four and we've defended very well. Do you know what I mean? Like, you look at Mourinho time ages ago, it was John Terry and Carvalho. Like, we've defended extremely well. We've got the most meanest defense record of the least goals conceded. So, it can be done. We don't necessarily have to have three at the back. It can be done with the two, even with the players we have. It does come down to management. It does. And I don't think Frank at times probably got that right in terms of, I think where Frank's defensive issues came was there was too much gap between defenders, midfielders and strikers, and they weren't close enough. They weren't pressing as a unit and they weren't moving as a unit. That's the issue. Defenders were isolated from the midfielders were isolated from the forwards, and this is something maybe Frank just couldn't get around, and that could be due to being, I suppose, still new to management. He will get better. Hopefully he gets another job somewhere and understands all of that. But you don't see the same issues with Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel pays attention to that kind of stuff. He makes sure that everyone's compact, everyone's moving as a unit, they're pressing as a unit, they're counter-pressing as a unit. So I'm very, very hopeful. It's not like Thomas Tuchel used the three all his life. He wasn't using always a three at PSG, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't always using a three at Dortmund.
He always played a back four.
Yeah. I'm sure he might have played a three here and there, but it's not like he's an Antonio Conte where he's a back three master. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. That's that. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings up to the end of today's stream. I don't want to make a long one today because it is Sunday night here and I've got work tomorrow. So I do want to log out soon. I will hopefully bring you guys in sometime next week, the live chat, the fans, and we'll have the shows like previously where you guys come in and give your opinions. But today we'll wrap things up here. Do tune in tomorrow, UK 11 a.m. I will have Eunice and Matisse, where I want to do a preview for Germany versus England, which is going to be the Tuesday game in London, I believe, in Wembley. So I do want to have a preview for that, which is going to be interesting because I follow Germany and the lads follow England. So it'll be good to have a preview on that particular game where we can do some predicted lineups and some score predictions and some little banters here and there. So do look out for that.
That's going to be a fire, man.
Yeah. All You Can Eat Chelsea will be here in my channel on the other side of the coin. So do look out for that. And as I said, I will bring you guys in down the track. So I hope you guys enjoyed this particular stream about Tammy Abraham, Hakim Ziyech, and Andres Christensen. Leave your comments, guys, once the stream's over, and I want to interact with each and every one of you guys. And before you leave, smash the like button. Let's get it to at least 100 likes. I love getting to at least 100 likes. You guys deserve to have a video that has 100 likes as well. And as I said, helps the channel out a lot. So yeah, until next time, everyone, take care and see ya.